I like it. I'm good at it. And
I was alive.
I'm helping people, Jimmy.
This is the most quoted comparison you'll see whenever people try to demonstrate how much Kim Wexler has changed by comparing her journey to Walt's. Kim Wexler has clearly devolved from her hard-working and upstanding demeanor in Season 1 of Better Call Saul into her more sly con artist dual persona in later seasons, into Giselle or Slippin' Kimmy. A change so subtle in how it plays out, but at the same time so jarring and distinct from the character she once was. And it's only in the more recent seasons that people have finally started to catch on to the fact that this isn't the same person we enjoyed watching at the start of the show. In fact, she's so different in Season 5 to who she once was that everyone is going so far as to compare her transformation to that of the well-meaning Walter White into his horrifying, monstrous persona of Heisenberg. So let's see how exactly Kim breaks bad over the course of the show. I'm the Malmadius, and this is why we were all wrong about Kim Wexler. Now before we move on, it really does take a lot of time to make a video like this, so please remember to subscribe if you liked it. We're so close to 1,000, so let's just get it. And now back to the video. Breaking Bad started as a show with a distinct thesis statement in mind.
We're going to take Mr. Chips and we're going to turn him into Scarface.
And we see this clearly in Walt's iconic transformation from a well-meaning father into a monster kingpin of Heisenberg. And of course they pulled it off so well that not only did everyone notice, but everyone is praising the show as one of the best to ever air on television. So how do you top that? Well, in making Better Call Saul, the writers were tasked to follow up this marvel of storytelling. So what they did was they play with this idea of dual personas and take it to the extreme. Almost every character has their own transformation from one end of the spectrum to another, some of them transforming many times throughout the course of the show. If the goal of Breaking Bad was to see how far one man can be pushed until he becomes someone else entirely, then Better Call Saul's goal was to see how many times people can completely transform into new iterations of themselves. And we see this done particularly well in Kim's transformation into Giselle and ultimately into Slippin' Kimmy. From the start of the show, Kim has acted as a foil to Jimmy, where he works by himself in a back office, even going so far as to use an accent to act as his own secretary. She is making a name for herself in a big law firm. Where he dances way too close to the sun, she brings perfection and legitimacy to everything she does. She's able to get a great job as the de facto lawyer for Mesa Verde, while Jimmy has to sacrifice his law license to cheat HHM out of the Mesa Verde case. Now, if we look back to Breaking Bad, Walter was described in the exact same manner. How could the kind-hearted and well-meaning family man of Walter turn into the bloodthirsty, ruthless kingpin of a methamphetamine operation as Heisenberg? How could someone so good end up so evil? One of my favorite videos exploring this topic was a video from The Take. Check it out if you haven't seen it already and tell them the Malmadius sent you. But to summarize, they reframed the argument of moving from good to evil into that of inaction to action.
Active, inactive, good, bad.
Walt never went from good to evil. He went from inaction to action. You see, Walt was never truly a good man. All he really was someone who refused to take the extra step to take his life into his own hands.
My entire life. It just seems I never, had a real say about any of it.
From the very start of the show, we see him taking all the abuse that he gets from his students, from his boss at the car wash making him scrub and do extra work. Even at home, we see him regularly put down by his wife and emasculated by being compared to his much more traditionally masculine brother-in-law. The only reason people frame Walter as being a good man is because he didn't stand up for himself and passively takes all the abuse that he gets. Notice that once he gets his cancer diagnosis, everything seems to change right then and there. He starts standing up for his family by physically confronting the bullies that are harassing his only son. He refuses to take the abuse from his boss and quits so dramatically. He finally talks back to his wife, and in an interesting foil, he begins to seek his identity as the very thing his brother-in-law fights to destroy. He begins to manufacture methamphetamine, the most highly potent that Hank's department has ever seen to that point. Now, how can someone possibly justify the production of meth in order to build up their own sense of self? He uses a tried and true justification by framing it in a good light, by saying over and over and over and over again that he's doing this for the family. How else can you try and reason with your clear acts of murder right from the start of the show? How can someone move from being completely good to committing acts of murder like it's nothing? It was never about moving from good to evil. It was moving from inaction to action. No one is ever inherently good or evil. It's your actions that end up putting you on a road. And Kim's revved up and ready to take a trip down that bad choice road.
We all make our choices. And those choices, they put us on the road. Sometimes those choices seem small, but they put you on the road.
Over the course of the show, we see Kim moving from that same state of inaction to action. We see Jimmy get his hands dirty to do all sorts of crazy things with the underbelly of society. Meanwhile, everything starts off with Kim just keeping up her good, honest work like everyone else in the system. She loves Jimmy and loves hanging out with him, but let's take a closer look at their dynamic. Notice at first she keeps her moral high ground whenever she talks to Jimmy. She loves hearing his stories and jokes with him, but the moment he says something illegal, she tenses up. When Jimmy tells her about how he fabricated the evidence to save Daniel Wormald, listen to exactly what she gets mad at him for.
What if Davis and Maine find out you faked evidence?
It wasn't a Davis and Maine client. It was a nothing little pro bono thing. It was off the clock. It was totally my own thing.
Why?
The first time watching, we may think she's gonna stand up for the morality of being a lawyer and doing this is wrong and whatever we're used to Chuck scolding him for. But in reality, she's just concerned about the consequences if he's caught. I mean, if you want another example, let's look at the Mesa Verde case. Kim hates that Jimmy went and tampered with the HHM documents in order to embarrass them in court. At that point, Mesa Verde would obviously abandon HHM and come back to her. Now granted, she hates that this happened, but at this point, what happened happened. And she just quietly tells Jimmy that if he did do some casual forgery, he'd better cover his tracks.
You really want to make sure you've got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Nothing for him to find.
We know that she would never do this. We know she's not okay with this, and we know she has this moral superiority that encompasses everything she does, but we've just introduced a crack in her character. She's fine with it, just as long as you can get away with it. You've got to keep getting away with it. Now, to be clear, at this point, she already has that extra identity of Giselle, but she only uses this assumed identity to play silly little tricks on people, like that one Reddit bro. She does not mix the identity of Giselle with that of Kim Wexler, the lawyer, because that's where it would cross the line. And she stays firm in this, only having fun with Jimmy while still focusing on herself and Mesa Verde. It's only when she finally tries to help Huel, and after taking the assistant district attorney's insult to Jimmy a little too personally, does Kim first devise a plan to trick everyone right in front of them and get what she wants in her legal setting. After all, if she didn't do it right, then Jimmy would have done it in his own self-destructive way. And of course, since she thinks everything through, Kim's plan works. Jimmy's unsure whether or not to even celebrate, while Kim is overtaken with the euphoria of outsmarting everyone else that she drops everything to kiss Jimmy. After doing more and more sneaky behavior, she ends up devising a plan to trick her Mesa Verde boss into going with an option that melds more with her conscience. She devises a plan to work with Jimmy and slowly influences all sides of the chessboard to come to her conclusion. But then she finds out she's influenced the board just enough to where she can get what she wants without executing the full extent of this plan. However, Jim goes through with it. Jimmy puts all the pieces together that they spent all this time laying out, and of course, when he springs the trap, it works. everything went exactly how they planned it. But he does this without her approval. It causes a full-blown argument. A breach in trust like that can't be mended easily. And right when we thought their relationship was over forever,
maybe we get married.
Boom. She throws us for a curve. Their scam artist duo is now together in beautiful matrimony. Jimmy keeps up his work, falling deeper and deeper into the underworld and becoming a direct worker of the cartel, as Kim keeps working and starts doing pro bono work. However, the conflicts boil over, and all of a sudden, Kim and Jimmy have crossed hairs with the cartel. Lalo. He comes in and interrogates them both. Jimmy, completely exhausted, can't muster anything for his defense, so Kim swoops in to save him. She's the better liar after all, and she's able to convince a bloodthirsty Salamanca to leave them alone. And he leaves. Kim just took on one of the biggest bads she's ever faced. She thinks she can take on anyone at this point. So she devises a plan to destroy Howard's career. Now, why Howard? Well, it's because he was one of the people who crossed them, because he needs to be brought down a peg, and more importantly, because when he gets brought down, the settlement money that they'll get can be used for all sorts of good pro bono work. Think of all that good that they can do. What's one man's reputation if we can bring so much good to the world? Now, whoa, this is a little too far, don't you think? Sure, she likes the pro bono work, but actively destroying one man's career? Why would she do this? She can't do this. She would never be okay with this.
Wouldn't I?
Did you feel that? That was Kim pulling back the curtains. This is Kim at her most active. She is willing to do whatever it takes to destroy Howard's career and get away with it, no matter what the cost. Now let's see how exactly Walter White breaks bad, and we'll see that Kim follows the exact same steps to the letter. So how exactly do you go from this,
I am not a criminal,
to this? Well, you have to be able to work around that, and let's go point by point and see what it takes. We've already went over how inadequate Walter feels, and he uses his career as an excuse to do something, in his own words, truly wonderful.
You didn't have to wait your whole life to do something special.
Now look at Kim. She has always been a cog in the system. Notice that no matter what, especially when faced with people confronting her about what she ought to do, she always stands up for herself. Especially when facing Chuck or Howard, she doesn't like it when people force her into a position or tell her that she should do something or act a certain way. I want you guys to go back through the show again and really focus on any time someone wants something from her. Just see how she reacts. Let me know other examples you can find. I can think of like 4 right off the bat. So there's that box checked. So sure, we know why Walter starts going down this path. Partly to build himself up, and partly to become a masculine figure as he understands it. But why does he stay on this path? Arguably the most important character influencing Walter's journey into that ruthless kingpin of Heisenberg was his old college partners Gretchen and Elliot. The whole time that he's visiting them, we can see that Walter is really uncomfortable with the amount of success that Elliot has surmised. I mean, this is a man with a Nobel Prize in his house, and doesn't feel nearly as accomplished as Gretchen or Elliot. It's no wonder why he decided to do something completely different in his life to try to get that sense of achievement.
I have watched all of my colleagues and friends surpass me in every way imaginable, and within 18 months, I will be dead.
However, this by itself isn't what pushes him over. What sets him on this bad choice road is what shortly follows. Elliot offers Walt a job to work with him, and in his words, it'll be like the good old days. Walt, a little shocked to hear the offer, hesitates, and we can see him thinking things through. While he very well would have declined the offer naturally, what cements him on this bad choice road is when Elliot offers to pay for his cancer treatment. All of a sudden, any semblance of reminiscing on the past gets overturned with spite and pride-filled jealousy. No way will he have his partner pay him money, especially when he thinks that all of Elliot's success is based on his research. He would rather cook meth than stoop to begging for money that he thinks is rightfully his. Now, on the flip side, let's look at Kim. She says she wants to ruin Howard's reputation so they can settle a case he's working on and get 20% of the lump sum. They plan a full, methodical, foolproof method to ensure everyone thinks that Howard is addicted to cocaine. And they justify this by saying over and over and over again that they'll use the lump sum to open a pro bono law practice to help all the people who can't afford a solid defense for themselves. Now, at one point while Kim is setting up another subtle hit piece on Howard, she has a long conversation with another big lawyer, Cliff Main. Now, while she's using this meeting as a ruse to continue her long-haul scam, Cliff offers her the opportunity to be a part of a legal group that helps justice reform programs, similar to the pro bono cases she currently does. Now, this is exactly what they've been working for. This is why they're scamming Howard and destroying his reputation. It's all for this. And now she has the opportunity to get out of the scam and actually do what she's in it for. In the same way Elliot offered Walt a way out. At first, it looks like she's gonna do it. She's driving away and she's gonna help these people on a large scale, something she's always set out to do. But then she gets a call from Jimmy. Something went wrong with the scam. Now Jimmy says he can handle it by himself and tells Kim to keep driving. Kim hesitates, caught between a choice. Keep driving and get what she's wanted, or go back and see the scam through. And of course, like a Shakespearean tragedy, she turns around and gets back on that bad choice road. Now, why exactly does she turn around? Well, let's look at the next point. No matter how he likes to phrase it, there's really one reason why Walter keeps donning the persona of Heisenberg. And to see exactly why, let's look back at when he first calls himself that.
Heisenberg.
He faces the biggest bad that we've seen so far, Tuco Salamanca. He's already beat up Jesse without any mercy, so this is the biggest hurdle Walt faces up to this point. And he faces it as Heisenberg. The meeting is going as one would expect, and Tuco is all primed up and ready to beat up Walt. But then Heisenberg switches on, and with that one line,
This is not meth.
and he turns the tables on Tuco. And all of a sudden, he's on top. He's the powerhouse. He's the one who beat Tuco. And for his wits, not only does he show Tuco who's boss, but he gets that $50,000 in cash straight away. Everyone's staring at him, the man that bested Tuco. And when Walt finally gets back to the car, he just stares at the money. And look at his reaction. This was always what he was chasing. All that time in the drug ring, taking on bigger and worse foes, no matter who they were or what it was for. At the end of the day, it was to chase that one adrenaline rush that made him feel like he was on top of the world. Now let's look back to Kim. Whenever she and Jimmy have one of their scams succeed, look at how they react. It starts off innocent enough with them scamming that one guy out of a whole bottle of Zafiro Añejo. By the way, go check out my analysis of that if you haven't already. But as the scams get bigger and more elaborate, they get so excited to the point of arousal. At the end of Season 5, Kim succeeds with the biggest scam of all, saving their lives from Lalo. This mastermind cartel member has been shown to see through anyone's lies and can uncover what other people can't see. Up to this point, he is the biggest threat to anyone because of how smart and how perceptive he is, and he's coming after Jimmy. But who's there to save the day? It's Kim. She jumps up and uses her superpower, her ability to tell her own story so convincing that she gets away with lying right to your face. A master observer faces a master scammer, and Kim is gambling with both their lives on the line. We pause. And without saying a word, Lalo leaves. Kim won. At this point, she thinks she's unstoppable. If she can outsmart the assistant district attorney and can outtalk Jimmy at his own game and send a cartel leader home, she can do anything. That's the moment when she devises the mother of all scams. We see every step of the way, from conceiving the idea to acting it out. Kim is fully intent on putting all the pieces in place and destroying one man without anyone finding out. And here comes the day where everything's gonna pay off. Kim and Jimmy eagerly listen in and wait for Howard to fall for their trap. Lo and behold, it worked. Of course it worked. They read straight flying Howard like a card, and he makes a complete fool of himself in front of all the big players. And at this point, they don't even listen into the rest of the call and just ride that high together. Euphoria. And finally, we come to their justification. Walt has said time and time again,
these wild accusations, they could destroy our family. Damn, and for what shit about family?
Anyone with a brain can see that that's not true. If it was for the family, then he would have taken Gretchen and Elliot's offer. He would have gone to the police instead of putting his family in even more danger. He is only using that as an excuse to be as bad as he can be. Which is why it's so satisfying that in his last conversation with Skylar, we see him finally tell the truth.
I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. I was alive.
Now let's look at Kim. Here's a person who looked up to Atticus Finch growing up. And look at her doing her best to make the world a better place. She has been filling her plate with pro bono work for a while now. Finally, she quits her job at Schweikart & Coakley and focuses all her time on these pro bono cases. And that's when she devises that plan to ruin Howard's career. Well, they'll use that settlement money from his fiasco to set up a full-time pro bono office and help as many people as they can. And at the end of the day, they did it. Now, Howard knew it was them the whole time, and at this point he even comes to their apartment to confront them. But what's done is done. It was all worth it. It was for the greater good after all. Sure, Howard got brought down a peg, but we all know he'll bounce back from this. At the end of the day, they won, and no one got hurt. No one got...
Oh my God! No! Oh my God! No!
How many more people are gonna die because of us? No one. None. Now that we're in control, no one else gets hurt. You keep saying that, and it's every time.
There comes a moment when no matter how you started off, the fun and games has to come to an end. Walter knew this and rode with it, falling back on the same old arguments to justify his moral destruction. He fell so far from the man he once was and allowed Heisenberg to completely take over. He is committed to his meth empire to the point of destroying everyone around him to see it through. And there comes a point where you can't use the same old justifications anymore, and you've devolved so much from the person you once were.
Everything that I do, everything, I do it to protect this family.
What the hell is wrong with you? We're a family!
Up until season 6, we all thought Kim was going to go down that same road. Some thought she would join Saul Goodman as a full-time Slip and Kimmy lawyer. Others thought she would dig herself in too deep and end up in the crossfire of the cartel, just like what Howard stumbled into. Now, I always thought she would still fall down into the depths of moral destruction that Jimmy does, but she would be able to find a way out, simply because of that phone call that season 4, episode 5 flash-forward heavily foreshadows. But here she is, proving us all wrong. She recognizes that her goal was to make life better for everyone, to do the most good for the most people, and granted, have some fun while doing it. But after seeing what her actions have caused, her direct role in making this happen, and recognizing where this road will lead her, she does what no one else can do. She gets off Bad Choice Road. Everyone accepts their place in the criminal underworld, and when Kim realizes she can't tame it, she leaves. We really thought that Jimmy's law license was in jeopardy when he went against Chuck, when in actuality it was Kim who kept risking herself over and over by getting too close to Jimmy. And she really does say it in the best way possible when she finally decides to leave.
I have had the time of my life with you. Together, we're poison.
She does what we wish so many people would do. She gets out because she can see the writing on the wall. She can't hurt anyone else. And she just leaves. She quits the law altogether because she can't trust herself with a law degree anymore. She knows that a scammer with a law degree is like a chimp with a machine gun. I mean, yeah, obviously, too little too late, right? Her actions directly brought Howard to his death. But at least she got out when she did. She leaves Jimmy behind, who without her to brace him, fully becomes Saul Goodman as we knew him. And the tragedy of all this is, when we first started watching Better Call Saul, we were all excited to see him finally become Saul Goodman. We all thought it would be exciting, and we couldn't hold our breath to finally see him again after so long. But here he is. And it's depressing. He's moving on without a soul, without that core part of him as Jimmy McGill. It's just that lonely man, driving at full speed on Bad Choice Road. And all we can do now is hope that Kim stays off that Bad Choice Road for good. Because if she comes back, there's no telling how much farther she can fall. That's it for today. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like if you liked. If you've made it this far, you might as well subscribe. Like I said, we're so close to 1,000. Have a great day, and remember, make it a good day for someone else. Please let me know if you agreed or disagreed with me. I want to get a conversation going, so let me know in the comments down below. Until next time, this is the Malmadius, signing off.
You are time-bound. Dead. And I have no intention of being around for the boom.